Hello, and welcome back to my channel, which is titled Nasty Metal Productions. And of course, this is your host, Heavy Thrashhead. Yep. Okay, so, I'm back with a new review, and of course I'm going to be doing another review that will be up by maybe tomorrow or whenever, maybe later on today. We'll see. But for now, let's focus on this, and this is Spell out of Canada, and are definitely one of the more, again, that come out of the new wave or tradition heavy metal movement, and they've been around since the early movement, being formed in 2007 under the name Stryker. No, not to be confused with the nowadays band that is known as Stryker, the other new wave or traditional heavy metal band that's also out of Canada that I did, did a album review on, which was their newest album. But here we have Spell. They were under the name Stryker, which was spelled differently. It was spelled S-T-R-Y-K-E-R. And of course, they had some demo releases and such, and up until 2013, they went and changed the name, I guess, to not confuse people that this is the same Stryker. Yeah. So they changed their name and to the name Spell, and released the Full Moon Sessions, which pretty much consisted of songs that were previously released under Stryker. With some newer material that was recorded, but that was released back in 2014, released through Hard and Heavy Records, if I am correct on that. And of course, later on, they would end up getting picked up by Bad Omen Records, which is had many bands such Awesomeville, if I am correct, if I spelled that name right, which are a UK band, and of course Flight, the Norwegian hard rock heavy metal band. So they signed Spell, and of course here we are in 2016 with their second full-length album titled For None and All. Now, when I first gave the, I know they had a track release for it, just to give a little teaser of what to expect from the album, titled River of Sleep, and it was still, it had the same sound. I think you know where this is heading. Upon listening to this album in full, this is surprisingly a very different album. It's like their sound is definitely changing. No longer you really are getting that new wave or traditional heavy metal sound on that was presented on the, the earlier stuff. Instead, they really are going for a more 70s sound, almost kind of like Psych, with a bit of, just that really early 70s, late 60s sort of sound, but mixing it with the sort of new wave or traditional heavy metal sound that was still presented. And there is still some of that on here within tracks such as The Veil, and of course, that seems like to be the only one that comes to mind, or than it is. It's just there's really not a whole lot of that sound that was featured on the, that was displayed on the Full Moon Sessions. What you really just get is a overall late 60s, early 70s type of sound, very psychedelic in some places, very little bit of that early synth sound, not organ, not the Hammond organ, but really early 70s synth sound, especially displayed on tracks such as Dark Desires, which it's a very pulsating synth sound, like wow, just something complete. The band is very much experimenting with this album, and that could also due to another modern band that takes their roots from the late 60s and 70s bands, which is Ghost. Yes, you heard me, Ghost. They definitely take some influence from Ghost, which are probably the most popular band at this point that very much mixes that very late 70s, early 70s, late 60s, 70s sound. That's what they've been. That's what Spell seems to be kind of taking in is some of that type of sound within. It's just a, even though you still get some of that very metallic sort of riffage, but it's definitely mixed with a lot of that 70s sort of sound to it. It's just a very different album, really, compared to the Full Moon Sessions. And so all I can say is their next album is probably going to be very much full on late 60s, early 70s sound with very, very little new wave or traditional heavy metal. So really, they're just changing their sound quite a bit, and it's very vastly. But we do get some instrumentals on here, which is of course the Finks, which is the song that ends the album, and Seance, which are very experimental. Overall, really not a bad album. I really did like this. It's just this is just an album that you may have to probably give quite a bit of listens before you really start to judge the album. And I only base this off of first impression, but to me, I don't mind the album. It's definitely good, but they obviously are changing their sound. So until then, if you have, I know this album has definitely just been released, so if you have been able to actually listen to this album, you can always can come back to this video after listening to it and give your thoughts in the comment section below. So until then, this is Heavy Thrasher saying I am out, and until then, later.